Yo, it's the MagnetMan Podcast, and this is our first episode. In this episode, this will be the introduction. We will go over our mission statement, what this podcast is about, how it'll benefit you, and a little bit about me. So, let's begin. First, what is this podcast about? That is a great, excellent question. This podcast is a podcast for men and women, technically, that want to become the best possible version of themselves and are trying their best to improve. We will be inviting guests on, doing collaborations, and things of that nature with other people that also share this common goal. So, knowing that, what would you expect here? Well, some topics that personally have helped me a lot in my improvement have been meditation, cold showers, intermittent fasting, exercise, discipline, and the philosophies that entails. Biohacking is a big part of this that I've really found with things like the Wim Hof method and that sort of thing. With all that being said, the typical format of this probably will be an introduction of the guest, followed by an explanation of the topic, and how it can benefit you. Because ultimately, that is the goal, to benefit you on your journey to success. A lot of this first episode, I guess, will be, me telling you a little bit about myself, what I stand for, and what inspires me to do this. I am known online as that MagnetMan. I have many plans for the future, and one of my quests in life is to help others on their path to success, through teaching them the philosophy of discipline equaling freedom, the shadow ego, the carnal mind, the pleasure mindset and its influence on culture. Getting your life in order. A big inspiration for me is Jordan B Peterson, taking personal responsibility for herself, cleaning her room, and I say that as my room is a mess. The irony is killing me. Actually, if I'm being accurate, cluttering me. Anyway, one of the ways that I plan to do this throughout my lifetime is I have currently been working on a book, The Forgotten Laws of Warriors, or, to put it simply, to flow, as that's what it acronyms into. Some aspirations for me personally, besides Jordan B. Peterson, is Robert Greene and Napoleon Hill. Their books, Think and Grow Rich, Outwitting the Devil, The 48 Laws of Power, Mastery, The 33 Strategies of War, have really influenced me, as long as great minds like Tim Ferris, Siim Lands, Positive Hanson, other people in this community have really inspired me to become the best version of my possible self, and I intend to share the message. Other things that I hope to do within my lifetime is grow a YouTube following, which hints this podcast, as this is one way to further that goal while also spreading the message. I also like some of the philosophy of the Taoist, the Buddhist, Christianity. That's also the spiritual side of this, how we represent growing in our statures. It's amazing, and that's something that it's very exciting to me. And if all goes well, I ultimately want to make you guys informed on the ways to make yourself better, because I know for me, it wasn't easy. At first, I had no idea where to start. So I just tried implementing challenges like, staying off tech for X amount of time, that sort of thing. And while all that has been helpful, I'd say the biggest help to me was reading. Because books are like mentors. It's possible that I may never meet Robert Greene in person, but because of his collection of work, I've gotten a glimpse of his mind and the advice that he might give to people, as well as resources like TED Talks, that sort of thing. So I feel like this is a very good way to find mentorship whenever you lack mentorship. It's just going on online sources, finding these type of podcasts, and applying the principles that they have. See what works, see what doesn't. And don't just follow something just because somebody popular is doing it, obviously, but really understand these principles and how these things can change your life. One of the best principles from Jordan B Peterson is treating yourself like for someone you're responsible for taking care of. And that's something that I've had to learn, because while I am ecstatic to help other people, doing the same for myself with such rigor has been a difficult task for me. And Napoleon Hill's work, one of the best lessons that I learned was auto-suggestion, the fact that you could actually influence your subconscious mind to bear into reality the ideal future with the most practical means available. That was profound to me, and while it might seem overly optimistic to some pessimists out there, in principle, it's mostly true, and it's really helped, especially the Mastermind Alliance principle. This is a great principle, meeting up with like a group once or twice a week, just to make sure that you're staying on time, making progress. This accountability has inspired me to get involved with different self-improvement communities, like Conquered Self, for example, and other smaller subreddits that have also played a large influence on me. It's also helped me in my own personal development in practically every single way I can think of. For example, I used to not be that fit, but through these communities, I got what it takes to. And things like that have allowed me to stay in shape, really become the best version of myself. Currently, this month, I've been doing around 150 sit-ups at the start of every morning, and I can tell you, I'm already seeing extreme, profound effects. Not so much physically, but more mentally, having that start to the day. Because one thing that really inspired me from a channel called What I've Learned is whenever he talked about humans with BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, and how that basically is brain fertilizer, and how exercise can be an antidepressant, help you focus. Some people that are on Adderall that, have ADD or ADHD opt to stop using their medication, and that's super inspiring. And I realized that, not that I personally have any relationship with those substances, but anyway. Okay, this thing paused without me noticing, so I'm gonna have to repeat myself for a little bit. So what I was talking about was how I'm lucky that at an early age I realized how problematic my situation could be if I didn't take care of it. Whenever I was younger, diabetes, insulin resistance, pre-diabetes even, I didn't take that thing seriously, because it wasn't really part of my life, and luckily, still isn't. But eventually, I figured out through my own research that this whole insulin resistance thing just was something that I had to avoid at all costs, and this led me to making a whole lot of progress a year ago. And that's not the sole factor, of course, but it did play a part for sure. It wasn't absent-minded. It was definitely a part. And great resources on this whole intermittent fasting thing, and cold showers, which definitely helped me avoid a nasty future, was from Siim Lands, Thomas DeLauer, Dr. Eric Berg. And they really explained the research to me thoroughly enough that I could understand it, and I adopted the practice for myself. For the past year, I'd say pretty much every day I was eating one meal a day, with the exception of maybe once a week I'd eat once a week I'd eat whenever I felt like it, or bi-weekly. But even then, I kept it in like a relatively short time window. And I wouldn't recommend intermittent fasting for everybody. If you have an eating disorder or something like that, you need to learn how to eat normally first, so that you're making sure you're getting your caloric needs met, and then transitioning on to intermittent fasting afterwards. Because I think the research indicates that this is huge for longevity. So once you get like a handle on your eating problem, if you have one, go with intermittent fasting. I personally recommend it. It's probably been one of the best changes I've made with, like, the top 3 changes that any person can make in their life is cold showers, meditation, intermittent fasting in my book. Those are like the 3 changes that you have to make if you want to seriously propel yourself into a bright future. And this intermittent fasting thing is so helpful. And I remember I got really inspired. I was kind of on the fence until I saw this BBC documentary. It was called Eat Fast and Live Longer, with commas in between those words. Not eat really fast and you live longer. It's more on to time restricted eating. And the person there kind of does a timid approach. He tries the 5-2. Well, he might have actually invented the 5-2. I don't recall exactly. But that's essentially where 5 days out of the week you eat how you want, and then 2 days out of that you do caloric restriction and the fasting. But me personally, I think a daily fast, like, for most people, an 18-hour fasting window and a 6-hour eating window, that would be excellent. For sure. Though, if you want to progress past that, I'd say most people will find balance, the most balance between a 19 hours fast at 5-hour eating window, or a 24, like where there's 20 hours where they fast and 4 hours where they can eat. And most people do just 2 meals, and I'd recommend staying to that, even if you're doing like the 16-8. I recommend just not doing any snacks in between, because that can send you on basically a sugar roller coaster, and that raises your insulin, and that can cause crashes and burns. Eric Berg is an excellent resource if you want to find out more about this. also helped me overcome my drinking problem. And by drinking, I mean sodas. So don't get too worried there. Sodas, where I've used to, just drink way more than I should have. And 1 year of just totally no sodas, it's a big milestone. I'm very happy that I've made it there. Nowadays, I just drink water, tea. Sometimes I do like fruit juice, that sort of thing, but I try to minimize that because I realize even if it's 100% natural sugar, it's way more than you get naturally. So I try to limit that. So I just stick to water mostly. Sometimes tea, though. I definitely do enjoy some tea. And I hope to have you on this journey with me as we progress, find what works for us, tell our stories in the comments, what brings us to self-improvement, what improvements have we made, what things are we trying to overcome. As I think having a sense of community really helps us all. And with all that being said, well, I know it's short. This is the end of the first episode of the MagnetMan podcast. Goodbye.